Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Final Trade. I was looking out there this morning and I was reminded of the excellent Zendikar Rising Expedition box topper, and I thought, I should probably just do an EV analysis of that because it'll be pretty quick. There are, I think, 30 cards in the set that can appear in these box toppers, and because this is nearly the best box topper WotC has ever done. WotC has this real problem where they can't understand what the heck a box topper is for. Mark, if you're listening, a box topper is a reward for people who buy boxes. It's a reward for your customers who buy an entire box at once to open it. It's a reward for box breakers for fueling the secondary market with singles. And it's a reward for card stores who put in the effort of getting enough walk-in customers to buy enough individual packs that they crack another box. It's a reward. You need to figure out how to engineer it that way every set. Okay, now back to Zendikar Rising Expedition box topper EV analysis. If you go out and you look on eBay today, yeah, there are a few of these. They kind of range in price. This guy at $30, he's only got one, and most of these people only have one. There's very few up there. And something to point out is that the Zendikar Rising collector boxes had two box toppers, but they were a different box topper. They have a 1 in 6 chance of having a foil card in them. The set boxes and the draft boxes had what I'll call regular box toppers, which will never be foils. And the problem is, I've never been able to distinguish that the packaging is different at all. And so if you're buying these, you need to just assume that they are regular from set boxes and draft boxes, not from collector boxes, and that there's no chance of a foil card in them. And resultingly, because that foil chance was only 1 in 6, so 1 in every 3 collector boxes, since a collector box had 2 of them. But even if it was 1 in every 3 collector boxes would yield a foil version of the card, those foil singles go for atrocious prices. I mean, they're in the hundreds of dollars for those because they're so rare. But everything we're going to talk about today is the non-foil versions. And yeah, these run, we'll call it $30 to $40 over here on eBay, but there are barely any available. TCG Player is not much better, $36 for the cheapest one, and not a whole lot of depth to this market. We'll probably call about $37, $38 in here somewhere as the actual price today. Yeah, there's a couple lower than that, but if you actually wanted to open several of these, you're going to have to get up here, $38 there. You could buy 10 of them for 38 bucks, split that $10 shipping over all of them, and we'd call it $39 per box topper. So not a lot out there. And the way you do an EV analysis on a simple product like this is you simply go to the link on TCG Player's website. They have a special page for the price guide. What I search on Google is typically something like Zendikar Rising Expedition Price Guide TCG Player. And Google will list the page as the first result. And then I'll always just throw a link on here. Always throw the date that I'm doing this analysis on here because in the future I won't remember when. And I'll throw a little key into here for what the highlighted things mean. So if I just go over and I pull out what are the prices of all 30 cards today, and they're listed in alpha order. Now I've gone in and I've added what are these from, and of course things like Ancient Tomb and Cavern of Souls and Prismatic Vista, those aren't really part of any cycle. And even the ones in the cycles, not all of the cycles are complete in here. Several of them are not. And you just take a dumb average and you say, what's the average? Because as far as anybody knows, all of these cards are equally likely. And I know somebody will say, oh, but Ancient Tomb's only a 1 in 10 compared to the rest. Well, nobody's got any data on that. So we've got to assume they're all equally likely. They all came off of the same print sheet, probably a 121 card print sheet where every card was represented 4 times and there was 1 slot that was thrown away. That's probably how they made these. And so the average of all of them is $23.31. And, I always look for these kind of weird things out there when I'm doing EV analyses for things to potentially open, because there's stuff like this where most of the market forgets it. Most of the market, not on this one specifically, but in general, most of the market might have bad attitudes towards products. That's typically where you find the best inverted EV to get singles to sell in TCG Player. You look for products where the screeching harpies on Reddit are just going insane, getting upvotes from each other for pissing on a product all the time. that's where you can find good inverted EV and make money. But, you know, didn't work out with this one. $23 average price. And like I said, the current price, it's about $36 to pick up one of these. So yeah, there's no money to be made in opening these. And if you wanted to buy one just for the lottery ticket, for the fun of opening it, well, I've highlighted in green the cards that are above the current price to buy one of these on TCG Player. And in yellow, those are all above the price too, but we kind of expect that the Ally Fetch lands will get reprinted in Modern Horizons 3 next summer. And if that's been confirmed, go ahead and tell me down in the comments below. I think right now it's still just kind of an expectation because they reprinted the enemy fetch lands in Modern Horizons 2 2 years ago. And you can see those on the list. They're still in the 20s-ish. So if you took those 5 Ally Fetch lands, let's say they all come down about $30 each. Well, that's $150 total, and there's 30 cards in the set. So that's an average drop of $5 for the average price. So you could imagine if they reprint those and they kind of get the same drop in value that the enemy fetch lands did in Modern Horizons 2, well, you know, the average value of the cards in one of these box toppers will fall to about $18. So probably not worth buying any of these. Probably not worth trying to hoard them up to save for the future, hoping that they appreciate. It's just kind of a weird product, and the volume isn't very good. The supply in the market isn't very good. The depth is not very good. Probably the number of people who sit around hoping that the economics of this product change so that it's worthwhile to open it are not very high. And so, you know, sometimes, a lot of the times, you do EV analyses and your conclusion is, well, this just isn't worth it. And you move on to the next thing. Probably 80% of the time, maybe 90% of the time when you do EV analyses, you find out it's really not worth opening. So, you know, this kind of stuff I do almost daily. I go out and I look at products. I construct math models of how the value looks inside, whether or not it's worth opening. And a lot of the times I will share those first with my patrons over on Patreon. And then if they ever do move over to YouTube, it's not until weeks later after my patrons have had an opportunity to exploit the inverted EV. So if you want the results of these kind of analyses, but typically the successful ones, go join the Patreon. It's $4 a month. Let me know what you think, guys. I'm always interested in your input. Thanks to all of my generous supporters, especially those over on Patreon, all the people who make this content possible on an ongoing basis. I really appreciate it. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and join me on Final Trade.